Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. I think we've created a pub for the Highbury Squad. It's the Duck and the Bow Tie.
And the Dickie. The Duck and Dickie.
The Duck and Dickie. Come have a drink with us. Let's go. The Duck and Dickie, and welcome to the show on this fine Dickie Bow Thursday, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell. Looking sharp. I love the taupe. Is it taupe cream? What would you call that? It's lovely. Tan, sweater with the, I love the polka dot bow tie as well. Very nice, very nice. I'm a bit underdressed today, but I love the juxtaposition of our outfits. And I love this idea of having the duck and the Dickie bow. There's a really good pub in London.
Someone better duck tonight, I tell you. If he comes with rubbish.
Well, let's just say we are launching a new series this evening. It's Making the Case For. And let's just say that someone is very late for their courtroom appearance.
And in my courtroom, he's not even on time.
I mean, wow. Judge Campbell presiding. What are your thoughts? Not only is it a new series, but the fella who's making a case in front of Judge Campbell is not here yet.
Well, you know, a judge always listens and he writes his little notes. Well, that's a strike against him, isn't it? Straight away.
It's a huge strike against him for sure. Why don't we take this opportunity to say good evening to our jury? I'm trying to hide. No, never try to hide from KC. Good evening, the jury, aka the squaddies.
Come on, boss, Gunner, come on.
Clock Orange, relax. The case hasn't even been brought to you yet. Like, let's give him a minute. Good evening, Mark. Good evening, everybody. Arsenal Queen, I like that. Big up Sophie and Super Kev. We like that. Unai Emery Lee. Kev, while we wait for the young prosecutor to join the courtroom, how about Unai Emery and his yellow submarine?
Listen, I'll tell you what. I didn't think they could do it, but do you know what? You see them get down and dirty a little bit. You saw them break play up. You saw them having to defend properly. And hang on into the game at times. Obviously took the lead. Man United equalised, and I think everybody thought, Man United's going to probably go and score. I did. But they were dogged. They played pretty well without being brilliant, and they got themselves through. And I've got to say, the penalties were incredible. Most of the penalty takers, the penalties were unstoppable.
Have you ever seen any penalty shootout like that before
I have actually.
Have you been part of one, Kev?
I've been part of penalty, but not like that. I mean, I've seen it go round past the goalkeepers and come back round. I mean, I don't know if you remember, I think it was the Charity Shield at the time against Man United. We played Man United in the Charity Shield, and the goalkeepers took a penalty as well. It didn't go all the way through the team, but I think it was six penalty or seven. The goalkeepers decided to take it, and I think Schmeichel scored and Dave Seaman's got his saved. It was usually a really good penalty taker, but it does happen. And when it goes like that, the pressure just mounts, doesn't it? It just mounts and mounts.
Kev, can you talk us through that a little bit? Because honestly, even when the camera angle shows it, when you're stepping up to take a penalty, it feels like the entire goal shrinks, even as a viewer. It all feels like it just condenses.
It does. Of course it does. Because that is why it's a pressure situation. The pressure situation, things don't get all nice and bright and light and bigger, they get smaller, tighter. The margins for error are so small. And everything, this is why you're pro, because what you think of is just sticking to your technique and sticking to what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have to do. And sometimes the keeper guesses right. But last night was incredible. It was.
There were brilliant penalties, I have to say, on both sides. Did you ever change your mind when you got up to take a penalty, Kev? Or were you always decisive with what you wanted to do?
No, it's sometimes, you see, you go up and you look at the goalkeeper and you got to play games. Even as you're walking up, you're playing games. You play mind games. Because you've seen goalkeepers come out and they're kissing the ball and they throw the ball back. So that's all mind games for you. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes what you tend to do, sometimes you pick the ball up and you look at a certain side and the goalkeeper's seen you. Look at that side. So obviously you put the ball down and you shape and then you go to play in that side. And 9 times out of 10, he thinks he's got you. And that's when you change your mind and whip it the other side, you see.
Man, you can see it like that. De Gea went up a few times.
Rooley, I think his name's Rooley.
Yeah,
Rooley. He went up as well.
He did. But he's their backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. And
let's be honest, it happened to us. Last season in the FA Cup.
Yep, it did. And a hero, yeah. Kev, a lot of the squaddies in chat are asking, what was your penalty record like? Were you the main penalty taker at Everton at the time? You weren't, were you?
No, I wasn't. So. No, I wasn't the main. I've never really been a main penalty taker because obviously coming through at Arsenal, listen, you're just happy to get in the side. Never mind take penalties. I never even took penalties in the youth team or reserves, really, unless people were out. Because my goal record would stand for itself. But having someone like Lee Dixon in the team, etc. I mean, and then you go into penalty shootouts. I've missed a couple, but mostly, I think out of 10, I've missed 2.
Yeah.
So,
You know what's really interesting about penalties is like last night where you got your main 5, but then the other players who had no intention of taking one and were not even thinking for a second that they would be called upon, Kev, to actually still have that focus and concentration and be in the game, even though you don't think you're going to be called upon. But at the back of your mind, you think, well, maybe this is a possibility. But then to get to the point, Kev, where the goalkeepers have to take one, like those penalties were incredible. Did you have sympathy for David De Gea? I felt really bad for him last night, man. I mean, who'd have thought?
I have sympathy for any player who misses, to be honest, because you are actually in a no-win situation. Because for someone to win, someone's going to have to miss. Do you know what I mean? And everybody who goes up there doesn't want to miss. They go up to score. But it can't go on all night. Someone's going to miss eventually. And you know what? I was surprised that David De Gea side-footed it.
I know. I thought it was...
Because normally goalkeepers, they practice this stuff all the time. But that's what pressure does for you see, Sophie. Pressure will make you change your mind, change your technique, change your thought process of what you normally do. And then you're trying to be a little bit safer. Just get it right, and it didn't work out.
I mean, it really is quite unbelievable. Do you think when it gets to that point in the game, Kev, is it more on the penalty taker, or is that the point where everyone says this is where the goalkeeper earns their crust? Because I think the pressure on both sides is immense.
There's no pressure on goalkeepers. Where?
I don't think there.
No, there's no pressure on the goalkeeper. All the pressure is on that player walking from the halfway line.
I agree.
To that ball, because let me tell you, it's like a mile. You know what I mean? When the pressure's on, you're walking, and as you walk, the goal's getting smaller, as you quite rightly said. So you pick the ball up, you put it down, and sometimes, obviously, the goalkeeper, you've got to wait for the goalkeeper to get back on his line. So all of this minutes is things are just whizzing through your head. But this is where the professionalism has to kick in. Stick to what you know, whether you've either tried to kid him, whether you're going to give him the eyes, or whether you're just going to wait for him to move, or you're just going to pick your side and hit it.
Kev, what did you think of while we're waiting for the young prosecutor to come in?
By the way, here's another strike against him because you know what? He's wasting my time.
He is. I mean, listen, I'm just saying, Kev's here. There you go, Kev, the young prosecutor. I'm just saying, if you don't have your case ready, the court will...
I might kick it out.
Inadmissible evidence.
I might kick it out. Yeah, I might kick it all out. So we could just talk about what we want to talk about.
Exactly.
What's all this?
He's going to get 15 minutes. Not even here on time. What is that?
That's poor.
That's poor.
And you know what the judge will ask? Give me the reason.
Give me the reason to love you. Wait, bit of Luther.
Bit of Luther, right? If he gives me a good reason, then maybe I could work with him.
Everyone is backing you, Kev, right here.
Yeah,
they're already. They're already.
Broke him up, man. Even the judge will broke him up.
Too funny. Oh, by the way, while we're here, Sugar, I didn't put the picture up, but let me tell you guys, football prizes. There is a Emile Smith Rowe signed and framed shirt for tomorrow. So go over to football prizes. The Croydon De Bruyne is ready. And who knows, by the end of the show, we may give a free ticket away. So keep listening. Emile Smith Rowe. Tomorrow is the auction, 7:30 UK time. Kev, I know who ain't
getting it. I know who ain't getting it.
We've jinxed Jags.
I know who ain't getting it. Is that James? That's this guy. He's definitely not getting it.
No, Newman, we've balked him. Jags has been balked forever and ever. Ever since we bought him on the show, he's not won one auction.
The squad is giving bad juju, man. Come on. Newman giving bad juju. I'm telling you, Newman giving bad juju.
I'm thinking it's Newman and Taib and Zamir's fault, mostly. God. The three of them, I tell you. Maybe Mark as well. Amesy always wishes the best for everyone. But I tell you something, ever since Jags has come on the show, he's won nothing, absolutely nothing, which is crazy. Kev, I did want to ask you real quick on last night, because I was going to ask you this stuff at the end of the show, but seeing as this young attorney isn't even here yet, what did you think about Unai Emery's approach to the game? Personally, I thought he outcoached Arteta and Ole and played it the way he knew based on the talent he has. You know, sometimes we talk about managers who know what they have and they just play to what they know they have versus trying to force something and create something that they may not because they don't have the talent. What did you think of Unai? I mean, 4 Europa Leagues, let's be honest. Listen, that's pretty incredible, man.
No, listen, that is brilliant for him as a manager. Absolutely brilliant. And nobody could take it away. Nobody could say he's not a good manager. We know he's a good manager. So, but at the end of the day, when you're playing against a team like Manchester United, where were their big players? That's what you got to ask yourself, Sophie, because coaching only gets you so far. The big players have to turn up. And they didn't last night. Let's be honest. Cavani turned up for that goal. Very good. But where was your Pogbas? Where was your Fernandes? You know, player like him who's a game changer. Rashford didn't really have a good game. You know, they were stifled. And that's fair play to the game plan of Unai Emery, of course. But you've got to find a way.
You know,
and they couldn't.
Typically as well, though, you could say like Emery nullified Arsenal and Manchester United, but also I agree with you because obviously the players didn't show up for either the Gunners or the Red Devils at all. And Cavani was starved of service. Bruno Fernandes was completely alienated. He was too busy diving and going for his Oscar, or should I, like I tweeted earlier, the Razzies, because it's such bad diving. He's such garbage when he does that. He's such a good player. He doesn't even need to do any of that stuff. Paul Pogba played way too deep to affect the game at all. And when Scott McTominay is your best player on the night, a little bit like, isn't it? Sometimes like when Xhaka has a good game or a better game than Partey, you know that as much as I've defended Xhaka, something's wrong when a player like Xhaka is your best player on the pitch or a McTominay is your best player on the pitch, Kev.
Yeah, of course it is. It's when the so-called better players are not performing anywhere near the level that they can. That's what cost Manchester United last night. It wasn't that Unai Emery out-coached Manchester United. He made it difficult for them to build up. You know what Man United do? They come at you in waves and build up a head of steam. Especially, they've been probably the best second-half team this season, especially away from home. But if you notice, they were trying to build up a head of steam, but they just couldn't because Unai Emery didn't care. He sacrificed somebody there and they put the extra one in midfield just to break things up and make it bitty. It was bitty. Even extra time was bitty. So, again, fair play to him for keeping them in the game. But Manchester United, top players, never performed.
Is it the type of morning where as a player you're just kicking yourself in the head and smacking your head against the wall, just saying we let this one go? I mean, you know, and also if you're Arsenal Football Club and if you're Arteta,
we're kicking ourselves. Jesus, peace.
Kev, we could have beaten either one of those two teams.
Look, well, we had the opportunity over 2 legs.
We didn't. I know. I sound stupid saying it, don't I, really?
No, but I understand why you're saying it because we missed a great opportunity here. We missed a great opportunity. And you know what, Soph? Over 2 legs, we said it before on our after-game show of the second leg. Everybody has to take responsibility. Manager, players, football club. Everybody takes the responsibility because you know what? So this really was a great opportunity for us. We didn't lay a glove on them out there and we didn't lay a glove on them
at home
at the Emirates. So they go to the final, you know, Man United wipe the floor with Roma and then you think they're going to win it. They've got all the firepower. They've got everything going for them. Don't perform. And they get done on penalties. Unai Emery does it again, you know, crazy, man.
I mean, four Europa Leagues, and the only time he's ever lost a final is with the Arsenal. And you and I had an exchange on Twitter, and Amesy was actually the ding, ding, ding. Why don't you guys just get on air and talk about this? Good evening to all 200 of you in live chat, by the way, as well. If you're waiting
let's talk about it then.
The making for the case, it may not happen. Let's do it because you know what? If you're not on time, it's almost 20 minutes in and you're not on time for the show, then you'll have to do it again. He's done.
Right.
So Kev, let's talk about it because you know how
it was your tweet, wasn't it?
It was my tweet. It was my tweet. And by the way, everybody, here at the Highbury squad, no matter what happens, we can pivot. We'll make subs. For example, the show tonight was making the case for. Now it's turned into me and Kev just talking about Europa League and talking about how did Arsenal not win this competition and us, okay? So that's how we can pivot. We made some subs and here we go. So I was thinking overnight about what you said because he's done it at every club he's been at, but he was unable to do it at Arsenal. Yeah. And I said, well, he met Chelsea on a night where Hazard was on fire. That season, let's admit it, right? Hazard was on fire. He was phenomenal, right? I mean, considering. But when you look at the game and the fact we lost 4-0 and our players folded like cheap lawn chairs on a Sunday afternoon in Brighton, I thought about what you said a lot overnight. And you know how I always admit And
do I need to get it out?
You just brace yourself, Kev.
It's only a little one.
It's a little one. It's a bunt.
Like
it's
a
a
bagel.
bunt. It's a bunt
Like
humble pie. It's a baby bun.
Yeah, baby bun. Baby
cupcake.
bun. Yeah.
Cupcake
size.
Yeah.
Size, yeah.
Yes, they're both responsible. They are. There's no. You can't. He won 3 at Sevilla, 1 at Villarreal. I want to pronounce it correctly, you guys. And he failed to win with us. Is it his tactics? Is it because he trusted Ozil when he knew Ozil was dead? Is it because we tried to do something that we weren't capable of, Kev? I mean, Hazard was on fire that night and that Chelsea team was good, but Sarri hadn't even won a trophy before that night. Failed to do it.
Sophie, it was 0-0 at half time.
I know.
Yeah, I keep hearing Hazard was this and Hazard. It was 0-0 at half time. Then we capitulate in the second half.
Yeah.
So again, is it the manager or is it the players? So I'm always saying it's the players. I get heat from people saying no, it's the manager. So okay then. So the point I was making when you put your tweet out was, yes, it's brilliant that he's won 4 Europa Leagues, but when it was with us, we got embarrassed, and we did. We got embarrassed in that second half, and if you notice, I didn't say it's his fault because I always revert back to the players. The players have to perform.
Can I just say that this might be the best example you've ever given me of the players? Because you and I have gone back and forth this season a lot about the player responsibility versus the manager. But in this instance, when a manager has won 4 trophies with 2 different clubs and the only one he didn't win was with our club, this is the first time I buy into everything that you say, don't get me wrong, but I think you know where I'm coming from, where I say there's something to this. Can I say too that someone put it in chat as well, both of those teams that he won with were Spanish clubs. It's a language that he can speak freely and easily. We've seen Marcelo Bielsa take on an interpreter in his career, Kev, with Leeds. Do you think that he made a mistake? Even last night, he's trying to speak English and everything he's trying to do. I admire him for it. He's such a good guy. You can't not like Unai. Yeah. Do you think that hurt him? Is that you've 100%. You've played for different managers?
I've met him. Interviewed him. And he's a nice man. He's a nice, good man. But the issue, I'm going to keep saying it. People keep telling me about, it's because he didn't speak English. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. It's the players. The players, listen, the players have to understand and they know what to do. They got time to prepare for the final, Sophie. So if somebody doesn't understand something, what do you reckon they're going to do? They're going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Our problem was that dressing room. And it's been our problem for 15, 16 years, Sophie. That's been our problem. And yeah, sometimes we... let's have it this way, Sophie. We got beat in a cup final by Birmingham City. Is that the manager or is that the players? We get beat 4-0 in the second half against Chelsea. Is that the manager or is that the players? And I'm going to mention something even... here's one that we won. Do you remember the game against Hull? Well, we were 2-0 down. looking like we are dead.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Was that the manager's tactics or was it the players? So those three instances will tell you it's the players. Once you cross that white line, you've got to work it out. And against Hull, come on. We shouldn't have even been in doubt.
No.
Then we play Aston Villa and we wipe the floor with them. But that isn't the manager. That's still the play. Because the players have to perform. The players make the manager look good. The players make the manager look bad.
Listen, this is making the case, and it was going to be about Pepe and James, and I got it.
I'm making the case for
But now,
myself.
Super Kev,
you're the judge now. I've got to make my case.
You are the judge, the jury, and now I'm sitting here, you know, like when everyone's deliberating and I'm thinking, geez, is he turning me around here? I mean, what's happening? You are very persuasive, Mr. Campbell. You are very persuasive.
I don't want to turn you too much. All I want you to do is, all I want you to do is just think about, and you know, the whole comeback was brilliant. Mm-hmm. Coming back against Hull made us feel brilliant.
Well, Santi magic.
Yeah, but my point is, for them to bring it back, the players have to perform. Because if we'd have lost that, what would we have said? Bloody typical Arsenal. Let us down again. It's the players. Okay,
so let me ask you this, because someone brings up a good question. Nocturnal Media and also someone else. What is the manager there for?
The manager manages the players. The manager is there to organize, set things up, prepare, etc. All the management of everything is there for. But you know what? The manager doesn't go on the pitch. When the manager is at the side and he wants to adjust things, who has to perform? It's the players.
But also, though, how is it that Unai is able to articulate his tactics and get through to Sevilla players, and also Villarreal, a town of 50,000, beat the mighty Manchester United? He does it again. And these players, Kev, they're not the same quality as Arsenal or Manchester United, maybe two or three. And I'm not being funny now. Capuy and Foyth and
Coquelin
are
but you know what,
champions.
Sophie, do you know what? I've said it before on this pod and I'm going to say it again. Leave your talent on the side and let's have a fight first. Let's battle. Because you know what? I'm going to learn more about you when I fight you other than when we go talent for talent. Because you're more talented than me. What I've got to do, I've got to turn it into a scrap. And that's what Villarreal done. And Man United's top players did perform in the scrap.
Can I ask you this also, though?
And our players over 2 games didn't perform in the scrap.
Yeah, for sure. But also player mentality plays into this, right? And respect.
All mixed in.
So would you say, a lot of people talk about sabotage in the Europa League in Baku, and how players were anti-Emery. I know you've been involved in, not at Arsenal, but you've seen it in terms of some players where you're sitting there and you're like, oh, this isn't gonna work with that.
Yeah, it's wrong.
Right? Yeah. But the manager may be sending the right message and delivering the right tactics and having a good plan.
But the players can't dive the plan. So you could have the best plan in the world. You could have the best movie script in the world. Mm-hmm. If you can't shoot it right, if you can't deliver what is needed, and you see the way Manchester United play, or the way Arsenal sometimes play, we depend on flair players to get us out of jail sometimes. That's just the way it is. And that's why they're top players, because they can produce something out of the ordinary. But unfortunately for Manchester United and for definitely Arsenal, our top players didn't perform.
But also you could argue that they let him down at PSG as well, because I mean they were beating Barcelona, what, 5-0? Was it 4-0? 4-0.
4-0, I think, yeah.
And then they end up losing 5-4, and you have Neymar and you have you have all these superstars in. Did he have Neymar at the time in that team? Was it always Neymar? I can't remember, but you have Mbappe, you have all these players that should be able to perform at that highest level. And so it's really an interesting.
Yeah, but let me just say this, Soph, and this is so important. When you're playing at that level, getting over the line and beating those top teams, although you see it, well, look how far we've come. We're 4-0 up. When the adversity comes, it's the experienced teams that know how to handle it. So, for instance, the 4-0 up, Barca score 2 goals. It's 4-2 now. The mentality of PSG, who haven't been there before, all of a sudden is, we hold on to what we've got. And that's when you're in problems, because now Barcelona are going to dominate the ball. And they're going to ask question after question after question after question. And then you start making mistakes. You're getting deeper. But in the Champions League, if you notice over the last few years, PSG have started improving because they're more used to it. They know how to handle things a little bit better. Got to the final last season. So 2 seasons ago. Last season, obviously, got to the semi-finals against Man City. So they're getting there. Slowly but surely, the players are starting to understand it. They're starting to be able to handle that pressure, because you know what? It's like a big title fight. It's not just going to go one way and you're going to knock the person out in the first round, because Barcelona and Man City and all these teams, they've got world-class players. They go behind and they go behind big. They'll just keep playing and they'll get themselves back in 1 goal, 2 goals, and then all of a sudden, can you handle it?
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions for you. This is making the case for the players now with Mr. Super Kevin Campbell here. Who was more important to Manchester United this year? Bruno Fernandes or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? And also, PSG, with all the superstars, lost the title to Lille, Mr. Pepe's old team. So did Pochettino screw up, or did the players screw up? So the first one. So the first one is Bruno Fernandes more important. Was he more important than Ole this season?
Of course it was, because he's on the pitch performing.
Is the player always more important than the coach? Then is De Bruyne more important than Pep?
No. Well, here's the difference at City. Here's the difference at City. When you've invested all that money in your squad. Because when De Bruyne don't play, somebody else still has to perform. Somebody else takes that spot. No Aguero. Somebody else goes in. There's times where Aguero, Jesus, none of them play. De Bruyne's not playing, but Foden comes in and all these guys. So the collective, they've got a collective of top players who perform. Now, here's the difference. They're used to being up there, winning. So all Pep has to do is tweak. He just has to tweak, because there's no real surgery that they need to do at Manchester City, because they've got the squad.
Okay, I have another one for you then.
Can I
okay, yes, absolutely, yes.
Right, because they've got the squad. But when you go to Manchester United have assembled a decent squad, but they don't know how to win yet. So they don't know how to do it. So that's why Fernandes has made such a big impact on the football club, is that before, where they were kind of hitting their head against the wall, all of a sudden the door opens, Fernandes goes in, and all of a sudden they're more free-flowing. He can create, he can score goals. They've got an extra one there who makes that difference. Arsenal, this is what we needed. We needed somebody who could make a difference. We've been toing and throwing, and it's like we've been in a nightmare. All of a sudden, those kids come in against Chelsea, and we blow Chelsea away. So all of a sudden, we've come up for air. We can breathe. We've got players who are performing.
I mean, there's no doubt I don't know where Manchester United would be without Bruno Fernandes. As crybaby is, as an actor as he is, he's changed their fortunes completely. There is no argument there whatsoever about the impact he's had on that football club. Let me ask you this then, because I'm so fascinated by this conversation. Someone said, people are writing this is a really interesting conversation because,
and it is, it really is.
It is because, okay, I'm going to put this up from the Nadal. It's a spontaneous show now. Casey, seriously, dude, how can you make the case that the people responsible for preparing the team for the season are not responsible for what happens on the pitch?
I've never once said they're not. I always said the manager carries the can. Always. Of course, the manager. I've said this once and I'll say it again just for everyone. The team will get the manager lauded, or they'll get the manager the sack. Because let's be honest, mediocre maybe shines the light more on Arteta, doesn't it? Oh, they've been mediocre. They haven't done this. They haven't done that. Well, the Arsenal team still didn't perform under a manager who's a serial winner in the competition. So you can't say Arteta's not motivating the team when we get stuffed 4-0 by Chelsea. It's a derby in a final. And then what is that? That's the players. It's always the players. But who carries the can? The manager.
So I have a couple of questions for you. One from me, and then I'm going to put one up from Newman, which kind of follows. Another example, because I think we could take some test cases here. To me, this is like a fascinating case study, right? In terms of players versus manager. We've debated it all season, but mostly in our own hub with the Arsenal. Let's take Mourinho, for example. When he won the Champions League at Porto, and then he goes on to win the treble with Inter Milan. He wins at Real Madrid. He wins everywhere. Comes to Chelsea, changes their entire trajectory. Is it, and then now later on in his career, he cannot, we don't know. He could have delivered a trophy to Tottenham in the League Cup. We'll never know that. But is it him? Is it him or the players, Kev? Was it the Porto players? Because when you see, and then the other juxtaposition to that is when Pep invented or reinvented Johan Cruyff's tiki-taka football. Is it because he had the Holy Trinity in midfield? Are we overestimating Pep's genius? Has he just been lucky to have blessed players his entire career? I mean, this opens up Pandora's box.
No, it doesn't. And I'm gonna put you back in your box. All right?
I love it.
You don't open Pandora's. I'm gonna put you back in your box.
Okay.
So you've mentioned Mourinho. Porto weren't favoured. As a manager, he set them up right. XYZ. They were going out against Manchester. Don't forget this. They were going out against Manchester United. They scored the equaliser. I think the away goal at Old Trafford. That's what took them through. So the players still have to perform. However great a manager is, so-called is, it's the players who have to perform. Now, if he can do that at all those other clubs, why is it that a manager, which is so-called the best Spurs side in a long time, why can't he do it? Remember, they were winning the league in November.
Yeah,
November, December. So why couldn't he do it with them? Is it the manager or the players? It's the players. But here's the sweeter one. You mentioned Pep Guardiola at Barcelona. Barcelona had an incredible team, added with Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi.
The Holy Trinity.
when you put those three in, but there was a good team there already. But here's the thing. When Pep Guardiola went to Bayern Munich would win the league. Doesn't matter which manager is there, Bayern Munich will win the league.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it in the Champions League.
Couldn't do it
right?
in the Champions League. Yeah.
Couldn't do it in the Champions League. Pep Guardiola comes to Manchester City. Money was spent, heavily assembled squad, investment was done. I particularly remember a game at Goodison Park where Manchester City played Everton. And Pep Guardiola was there like that, looking at the ground. And the game was going on because Everton battered them. I think it was 4-1 or 4-0. This was Pep's first season. Nowhere near it. What did he then do, Sophie, in that summer? He went and spent 120 million on fullbacks.
There we go. Right here. 100.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
He went, but who can, why did he do that, Sophie? Because he knows the way he plays. He's had to work it out. The way I play, I got to get boys on the pitch who can perform and do what I want them to do. So we chuck another 100 million at it. We chuck another. I think they bought 4 or 5 players, but he particularly went and bought Kyle Walker, didn't he? And a fullback. So what he's got to now do. He's got to be able to trust those players who crosses that white line, because he's good at setting them up. Sophie, he knows how to set them up. He knows how to train them. The key is crossing that white line. You've got to have the team to be able to perform when it matters.
I get it. And then I see questions like this, which are interesting. Name one side that didn't have the best players have continued success. And then I see questions like this. How will Liverpool be without Klopp or City or Guardiola? And we've seen City were nothing before Pellegrini, even Roberto Mancini first, and Pellegrini. And then Pellegrini left a bit of a mess that Pep had to clean up. But he still, didn't he win a domestic? Did he win the Premier League, Pellegrini, or domestic trophy? I think he won the league once, right?
No, he won the league. He won the league.
Yeah.
Pellegrini won the league, yeah.
And so I guess then I fall back to, let's take the 2 most legendary managers in the English game, Kev. I love this conversation with you. Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger. Was it the players' fault that we lost the final to Barcelona in the Champions League? And Sir Alex Ferguson won 14 Premier League titles, and he had players come and go, and he refreshed and revitalized and rebooted and replenished that team season after season after season. His prowess, his knowledge, his forward-thinkingness kept that Manchester United team so ready to go every single season. Talk me through that a little bit with these two, because surely that wasn't just down to Beckham and Cantona and Giggs and Henry and Vieira. What's the scoop?
Like I've said, a manager has to manage. He's got to manage his players. He's got to manage the football club. He's got to manage his coaching team, the backroom staff, the tea ladies. He's got to make sure the environment is correct for the players. That's what they have to do. That's management. And you prepare the team. You say the right thing. Some need to kick up the backside. Some need an arm around them. Alex Ferguson could do it all. But the fact of the matter is, Sophie, when it comes to them going on that pitch, he's got to know everybody in that dressing room trusts each other to perform. And that's what he done constantly. He wasn't afraid to go out and get Rio Ferdinand from Leeds. Spend 30 million on him. He wasn't afraid to do that. He wasn't afraid to go and get Cristiano Ronaldo. He wasn't afraid to do it. Why? Because he knew the culture that he had and the culture that he built. And this is what happens when you have a manager at the club for a long time. The culture is the vein, is your veins. And the blood that is pumping through them, you bring another player in, they just go straight into the vein because everybody is because you're winning. Everybody's in the same thing. But you have to keep replenishing. You have to keep refreshing. Look at the players that they sold. You know, the Van Nistelrooys of this world. Carmen gone, Beckham gone, Keane gone. You know, Yep, Sam gone. But he knew how to make it work. He knew, right, if I'm going to get rid of him, I'm going to get him. And he just plugs them in. The team and the club mostly all know each other. So, you remember Nemanja Vidic? Nemanja Vidic, first season or a bit, he wasn't even in the team.
No.
Because he was learning.
Because he was learning.
He was learning. And then the ultimate slap in the face for us, we give Van Persie to them, and he goes and wins them a title.
Kev, I have this conversation with so many of my Arsenal family and stuff. We talk about it a lot. Do you think then, based on if we'd have kept Van Persie, if we'd have kept...
I've not come to Wenger yet.
Okay. Get to Wenger. Get to Wenger.
I'm letting you speak because you see, Sophie, here's the thing. How could Arsenal be so dominant with a great Manchester United side, battling at the top, having such great tussles, and that's what made it even more exciting? And then we leave Highbury and we go to the Emirates. And we qualify for the Champions League. We're never going to get anywhere near winning it. Let's be honest.
Okay, but how do you explain then that Ranieri can win the Premier League with Albrighton and Wes Morgan and those players? Ranieri had everything to do. It wasn't the players, was it, for Leicester, Kev? And also,
of course it is. What are you talking about?
Also, wait, that's the first point. The second point is managers make mistakes. It's not always the players' fault. Pep Guardiola in the Champions League last season semi-final made mega mistakes. Mikel Arteta, semi-final Europa League this season, made mega mistakes, cost us getting into the final. Sophie. And then you get to Leicester winning, Kev. Claudio Ranieri, come on.
Sophie, they're only mistakes because they lose.
Well, then...
think about it.
Yeah, so but then when they win...
Hold on. Just think about that. They're only mistakes when they lose. Because you know what? Managers have made mistakes and teams have won. And it gets papered over. Because it's about winning. It is always about winning. So I understand that. But let me tell you something. Pep Guardiola has made a lot of mistakes. But he's got a team that could work it out and get the job done. That's the name of the game. Because you're not playing against the dog and duck or the duck and dicky. Do you know what I mean? You're playing against other professionals who train, who work, who do the same things to try and beat you. They prepare for you. And a lot of the time, we've seen Manchester City go a goal behind. We've seen Manchester United. We've seen Arsenal go a goal behind. But what happens? The players click into gear. That next minute, the other team gets a slap. 3-4. But when you're not performing, we are now losing. Arsene Wenger had top quality players, and look what he'd done with them. Not only were they top quality players, they were physical, they had talent, and they had the right mentality. At the Emirates, have we ever had a side that we could say have all those things? I have not seen one, and that's the truth. Yet we still question, is it the players? There's only a manager could only do so much. All of these Contes of this world and Zidanes and all that. Listen, the manager, all he can do is manage the group, manage his coaching staff, and try and help out if he sees something on the day. Prepare the team. It's the team that goes across that white line who has to get the job done. And I don't think I could say any easier than that.
No. And you know what? I can accept that from you because you've been in that position. We have a show called Inside the Dressing Room for a reason. You're on this show for a reason because you give a perspective that nobody else can. I can't. Amanda couldn't. You can. Most of our guests who aren't players can't. They can only see it from a fan perspective. We don't know when we're not involved in training every day. We don't know the ins and outs of what it takes, what it means.
The video sessions. The video sessions. Because you see
all of that, Kev. And our players always my magic mic's like film, I can.
the breaking down of film as well, Sophie. This is what people have to understand. It's not that you just go and train and then, the manager tells you a few words and you go out there. No, if I know we're playing Villarreal next Thursday, we are in there. We're preparing. We're seeing how they play, how they're structured, breaking down a film, how they've conceded their goals. This player, that player, because we don't know what we look at everything, how we're going to attack them, how we're going to look to break them down. When we lose the ball, how we're going to make it difficult for them to break through us. So there's so much that goes on. Then we get to game day. And you get your file and you're looking at it, the video's there, and you just, freshening your mind about how things, because you've worked on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time of, when you see the team walking out, the captain's at the front. Mm-hmm. That's the moment of truth, Sophie. So for all the work you've done, that is the moment of truth. You're crossing that white line.
Okay, one thing I never thought in my lifetime, and Darren Sullivan, I'm going to put this up because you just triggered something I was going to ask Kev. And never in my lifetime did I ever think I would see the motherland win the Euros, Greece. Otto and his tactics were exquisite. Ugly football for many. Beat Portugal twice. Made Ronaldo cry in a final. Everyone appreciated that. Haris Aristeas will never have to buy a kebab ever again, KC. None of that team. They've been living kebab free for 17 years now.
Good.
Is good for them. Is this an instance of it's a combo of the perfect example of a combo of the manager and the players, or what do you think about the Greece example?
Sophie, the Greece example and the Leicester example are quite similar. You have the right players playing. Nobody gives you a chance.
Nobody. We were the bet. I think my dad was like, he put £10 on a 500 to 1, right, 800 to 1 bet. Yeah,
because you don't have the big names. Nobody gives you a chance. But what do? You play to your strengths. Defensively, Greece were very good. So that's what they done. They played to their strengths. They defended deep. You come and attack us. And when teams overcommitted, they had clever enough players, and they'll go through them. All they needed was one goal, usually. They get up on you, and you are in problems. Just like Leicester. Leicester done it. Leicester had an anomaly in the centre of midfielder called N'Golo Kante, who we could have picked up for £5 million, right? N'Golo Kante played in there with Drinkwater. Them two sat in there and protected the back four. The back four were just solid, defended deep. They had a player who could get them out in Riyad Mahrez, and they had a player who played on the shoulder who was lightning in Jamie Vardy. And that's what undone a lot of the best teams in the Premier League. But with Greece, hey, good players, international players, quality players. It all came together because teams kept doing the same thing. We'll attack them, we'll beat them. Maybe it was a little bit of arrogance. It's only Greece. You know what I mean? It's only Greece. Yeah. It's only Greece. And when Portugal lost the first one, it's no problem. We'll get them the second time.
Yeah. They really thought they were.
Yeah, but they done the same. They made the same mistakes. And what did Greece go? clap, slap, have some of that. And before you know it, the momentum starts to build. You get comfortable playing the way you are. And I'm going to go back to when Leicester won it. Remember, we beat Leicester at the Emirates. And we thought that was us. We were moving. We didn't have it. I remember them beating Manchester City at the Etihad. I think they beat them 3-1. And they were just sat back, and City were coming at them left, right, and centre. And then all of a sudden, Mahrez got it, sprung Vardy 1-0. And you're like, And you could see Manchester City getting angry and thinking, we have to go for them. And the more they attack, the more they open them up, because they were just comfortable in their style. Same with Greece. Greece were amazing, Leicester were amazing, but it was only for 1 year.
I know. And it should have been our year.
It's hard to do.
It is, Kev. We've said on the show a lot that when that Welbeck goal went in, we all thought, this is it. This is our time. And a lot of people have said, like, the difference between Greece and Leicester, of course. Leicester they still had Kante and Mahrez and Vardy. But you guys, at the time, Mahrez is so much a better player, Kev, isn't he?
But nobody knew them. Let's be honest. Mahrez, all right, he's all right. But you weren't at the top players in the league. Nowhere near. But they were well managed, well coached, well drilled, and you're relying on the opposition to attack you the way you expect them to, with abandon. We'll just throw the kitchen sink at them. When you do that and you can leave the gaps, they're through it, and it worked for them.
And the great thing at Superfleet, you're right. Now Leicester are a much better run. They're a much better run club. I don't know if they're a better club, but they're a better run club than the Arsenal. There's no doubt about that. They took that Premier League victory and they've evolved as a team. They've moved on, Kev, every single season. And yes, they choked this season again, 2 seasons in a row. So you could also say that they choked, but then you go back to thinking it's Leicester. But then they won. You know what I mean? It's weird, Kev.
So here we go, Soph. And you know what's coming, don't you? You know what's coming. We keep hearing about, this Thomas Tuchel, he's done an absolute brilliant, and he has done a brilliant job. But when it comes down to it, in that final, Leicester players performed on the day. It's the bottom line. Just like Arteta, done Lampard, but Arsenal players performed on the day. We went a goal down and we came back against Chelsea to beat them in the final. That's the players. The manager gets the accolade, of course he does, for winning a trophy, but the players performed.
I love spontaneous shows like this. This has turned out to be fantastic. And I could go on and on with you on this one, because once we get onto this tangent, I just want to get stuck right into your brain. I do want to ask you one more question before we go, Kev. Now, modern sports is very different to 20 years ago, 10 years ago even, right? Mental strength, mental conditioning is a huge part of sports. You and I have talked about how Tiger Woods steps out. He's beaten everyone before they even tee off on the first tee. Michael Jordan walks out. They're intimidating. Arsenal Football Club, when you were playing and beyond for years and years and years, you stand in the tunnel. You're like, oh, my God, this is going to be tough. This is going to be a rough night.
Soon as I don't know if you ever heard, we done on Geordie Pete, the football kind live chat on a Saturday. We had John Solarco. You remember John Solarco?
I love John Solarco. I had the pleasure of meeting him once at an away game at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace Arsenal. Yeah,
lovely guy. He revealed something about them times, and I want to tell you what he said.
Okay, cool.
He said when the coach, because they used to come in from the top of the hill and come down.
Is that when Koppel was their manager? Kev?
Yeah, Koppel was their manager, and they were a good side.
Yeah,
they finished 3rd in the league one year.
Yeah.
He said when it turned down, they were saying how much we're going to get beat today. Oh my God,
Really?
Because the street, it's just a sea of people at Arsenal, isn't it? And the coach comes down, and you see Highbury, because you come down from a high, and then you could see the East Stand, and you could see the clock end. and then you see the gap, and you see the North Bank and the West Ham, and they know what's coming.
Shitting bricks.
They know what's coming. They know. I think that was a 4-1, but they know what's coming because they look at them. It's like, geez, because you have to earn that right, Sophie.
You do.
Teams won't just come and be scared of you because you're Arsenal. You got to slap them about a bit, Sophie. You got to brock them up a bit, and then they go, geez, I don't want no more of that. And then anytime they come to you, it's in their head, not ours. It's in theirs.
But Kev, even as a fan, we used to show up at Highbury squad, and you gave us the arrogance in a good way.
That's the connection. Yeah, but that's the connection. Because you knew you could trust the team that's going out there. You trusted it. Totally.
I'd be putting bets on because I'm like, this is happening.
Who's going to win me my money today? You know what I mean? What goal scorer, goals, man of the match, whatever. You knew what you were going to get from your Arsenal. From your Arsenal, Sophie. The crazy thing is,
always.
And this is why I always say this as well. Teams coming to the Emirates now are like that. Oh, Arsenal are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Because for years they've got slapped about. Now, Arsenal ain't got the gloves on anymore. And we call it weak sauce. Now they smell the blood in the water.
And it happened to Man United this season at home. It happened to Liverpool this season at home. But Kev, I tell you, someone said Kev brings the spine-tingling moments back when he talks about the Arsenal. And it is so true. Right now, I am just like reminiscing, getting ready for the game, going to Highbury. Always, me and George, like, what's our bet today? Who do we fancy? And it was like literally just go like this. Bing. Pick one. Because you were all warriors, you
trusted us. Trusted us to know if it weren't Smudge's day, if it weren't my day, Merce could come up with the goods. Anders could come up with the goods.
Yeah.
When Wrighty's there, Rocky, Wrighty, Mickey Thomas. We had threats on the pitch. And if we don't have the threat on the pitch, we can bring one on off the bench to make a difference. That is the difference. That is the team.
I know.
Players getting it done.
And Kev, we went from that to being bitch slapped every bloody night not every night, but every Wednesday night in the Champions League, mostly.
I mean, what tells you we moved to the Emirates to compete at the top table. And we're getting turned over 10-2 on aggregate. Come on, that's not right.
It's not right. It's not right at all.
And we're getting turned over 10-2 with a manager who has had incredible teams. We're still getting turned over 10-2. So something's wrong. The players are not right. And I don't mean we're not talented. People might think I'm saying we're not talented. No. The problem is we don't have enough fight in us. Because you know what, Sophie? Do you know the biggest telltale sign for me is when you go away from home and the game is over in 25 minutes.
Buggers. It's happened
too many times.
Too many times. To be fair to Arteta, who I'm not a fan of, as you know, he steadied the away form ship because it was terrible in the last couple years of Wenger and terrible under Emery. But what he's done is he's made us beatable at home. And it's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable to have that type of record at home, to be that fragile at home. And so I want to ask you this one last question before I let you go. Did you, at Arsenal or Everton, maybe more so Everton because it was a bit later on, but did you have mental training? Was there a mental conditioning coach at all? No, right? Not in that time.
I'll tell you where I learned all of my trade. At Highbury. I learned it all at Highbury. Wanting to get in the team, being in and around those guys, training, traveling, understanding. My first big eye opener. I think I've said it on here before. I was 16, 17 years old, and I went to the semi-final replay with the team at White Hart Lane. In being in the dressing room around these guys, and they're all having fun and all that, and then when the clock turned and it's time to go, the game face, total change. You just saw the total focus. It was incredible. I was like, wow. Because I'm a youth team player, I'd never seen that. Because you can't even get in the dressing room as a youth team player until they allow you to go in and clean. So seeing it with my own eyes, and to see the way they performed and being around it after, and you're thinking they're going to be going crazy, but they were just chilled out, everyone's happy, but the job ain't done. It was like biggest eye-opener for me.
Wow.
That's the way I need to be. I need to be like that. I've got to learn to be like that. I'm a kid from Brixton. I don't know all these mental stuff. But what I did know is the longer I am in and around these guys, it will rub off. And it rubbed off very quickly because I wanted it so I was desperate for it.
Brilliant, Kev. I mean, might switch the shows with you to just talk about this kind of stuff because it's brilliant. I mean, I could go on 2-3 hours right now because there's so many things.
The insights, honestly,
they're the best.
The insights about being at different clubs.
I mean, one of the things I'm really fascinated about is the mental conditioning, because some teams and players you see and you're like, Jesus Christ, they're like Terminator 2 guy. They're just unpenetrable.
They keep coming. They keep coming at you. What is it with these? Because you know what that is? They have belief. And this is where, again, that manager, the manager builds the football club and the culture around these guys. So when you get on that pitch, in training and everything, you do the work. But ultimately, Sophie, when you get on that pitch, that's the acid test. Once you start passing the acid test on the pitch, confidence starts to grow. And once confidence starts to grow, we're turning up at Highbury. Doesn't matter who we got. We know against the big teams, we know they fear us as much as we're wary of them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But we fancy at Highbury, this is where the 12th man, you guys, make a big difference to us.
It was madness, Kev.
Because it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
The best.
And then when you go away from home, your little pockets of Arsenal fans that travel,
the best.
That's the galvanizer thing, because it's like, listen, everyone's against us. Come on, then, let's have it. And that's what gets you through. That's why we were so connected so much.
I love, it's a little bit like my dad. Sometimes when I listen to my dad, right, when he's growing up in business and he's trying to make it in the rag trade and stuff like that. And then he looks at stuff today and he's thinking, because these guys wouldn't have made it today.
Back in the day. Yeah, they wouldn't have made it back in the day.
No. Yeah. My dad's like, the amount of shit I used to eat. I used to go deliver dresses and they throw them in my face. Because you can't get away with that today. That's not happening. It was just a different time, a different whatever. But at the same time, when you have figures like a George Graham, a Geordie Armstrong, a Pat Rice, a Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, even for Sir Alex Ferguson, people can say whatever they want about the Wally and the Brolly. But McLaren was great for him. Brian Marwood was great for, not Brian Marwood, I'm thinking about
Brian Kidd,
who went on to manage, didn't make it at Blackburn as a manager at all. But this is where sometimes I think, when I want Arteta to have a strong number 2, I want him to have strong people around him, Kev, because sometimes the manager needs that 360. Because he gets sucked into his own garbage sometimes, his own thinking, his own craziness.
Yeah, but you know something, Sophie? Arsenal haven't earned it yet. Arteta has been brought in to change 15 years of doing that. Whether we like it or not. And some would say he's a novice, he shouldn't be manager, whatever. Even experienced manager couldn't do it. That's my point. Mm-hmm. So if the experienced manager couldn't do it, and now Arteta's there, I'm not saying Arteta's the best manager in the world. I'm not saying that. And is he a better manager? You came back to me and slapped me in my face last night and said,
"Me? I would never do that."
Is Arteta better than Emery? No, he's not. He's not better than Unai Emery. He is not. But they've been brought into the football club for different reasons. Mm-hmm. Mikel Arteta was brought into the football club to rip that dressing room apart because it was the dressing room that was the cancer.
Yeah.
That's what got rid of Unai, you know.
Totally. It is. And unfortunately, Unai didn't have the strength around him like Arteta does now. It was a different team. So he maybe didn't feel that confidence to be able to. He tried to stop Ozil, but he couldn't in the end, right?
That's right. He had to toe the line in the end because remember, if you remember rightly, he cut Ozil.
He did. He didn't want him in the team.
And then he brought him back. And then he brought him back. Why? Because probably pressure said you got to bring him back. Even Freddie was manager for what, 4-6 weeks?
Right.
Even he cut Ozil.
Yeah.
So they can't all be wrong.
No, but they can't. But once there was a change in team, you know, Arteta felt like he had the support of everyone around him to say this asset, no matter what people think and how marketable he is and how much we're making from his image rights and all this type of stuff, he's got to go. And I think I've said this on this show before. I have it on good authority from someone who knows that situation. Ozil tried to make Unai's life miserable, and Unai put his foot down. And unfortunately, he did not get the same support at the time. And that's why I have empathy for Unai, and I'm really happy for him. Listen, you guys, I hope you've enjoyed the special tonight on Pepe.
Hey, this was a case. We changed the case. We changed the case over. Make a case.
KC, you may win your case. The jury is out, and we're going to come.
I put my thing. It's going for deliberation now, right?
It's going for deliberation to the squaddies, and they're going to let us know if you won the case tonight or not. But I would love to pick this up because I have more questions I want to ask you about mental attitude, getting into that player versus manager thing a little bit more. I've got so many questions, and thank you. Best improv show ever. I love that. That means a lot because it is an improv show. We did get an apology from James. It came up in chat at some point. And unfortunately, things happen in life.
Do you know what, Soph? I'd like to do one where, with the youngsters who are coming, like the Azizis as well, who are coming up.
Yes.
Balogun, who's coming up, Martinelli to an extent, Smith Rowe. Saka, I think he's there because he's an international already. But, the Smith Rowes and all these guys who are coming, who you think, hey, do you know what? They've got a future. Now that we'll do a show on it because that
I would love that.
Is going to be so powerful.
Because what I want to get to with you a little bit more is forget when you were banging in the goals and you were becoming a legend. I want to go a little bit before that. Take us into the boots of Aziz and a Balogun and any of the. I mean, even right now, what's going to happen with Reece Nelson? But all of that. Look at Saka and ESR. What the Hale End are teaching our players. But I want you to take us across the white lines into the dressing room because they're not cleaning boots anymore, Kev. They're not doing the stuff that you did. So I'd love to do that. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. We'll definitely get the Pepe stuff rolling at some point. And it would be a great show. Totally agree with you. And we're going to follow up on this. This is why we have Kev on the show. It's for him to give us all these insights. 300 plus strong in live chat right now, Kev. They would have us go on all night long, as Lionel Richie once sang.
Yeah, which is a great song. But you know what I've got to ask? Okay, then, if you like the show, hit the like button or hit the dislike button, but hit a button.
Hit a button. And why should they hit the button, Kev?
Listen, because we ate the awful lot down the road, don't we? We hate Tottenham. We hate Tottenham. Come on, hit the like or hit the dislike. Listen, it don't matter. I know there's other fans who watch this as well. It don't matter. Hit the like, but we'd much prefer a like. But
listen, they broke the button. Like. I think Barry's trying to say broke the button. But look, we're in for a treat because apparently Pochettino's going back to Tottenham. I was afraid they were going to get Antonio Conte, but oh no, they're going back to that well. So all is good.
As the saying says, you never go back.
Never go back to your ex. It's trouble.
I think. Jesus, please. It's like Groundhog Day, isn't it? Sophie, I believe obviously Zidane's gone and Conte's free.
United are going to get Conte, aren't they? You could see it, smell it a mile off. Oh my God. Anyway, tell the troops what it's like. You're not around tomorrow.
No,
you won't
I'm not
be on
around
tomorrow's show, but you'll be back next week for a little bit.
We'll be back next week. I'll be back next week. And Sophie's got a show. I'm not sure who you on with tomorrow, Soph?
I'm going to be solo tomorrow.
Okay.
Got a few things I'm going to present about next season, and there's going to be a couple of announcements. So tune in because you're not going to want to miss that, kids.
So squaddies, tune in to the hostess with the mostest. She does a great job, incredible job. I'm not going to be here because you know what? I think you've had enough of me this week already.
No way.
So do you know what? I'm going to see you guys next week, but one thing we do know. We always love the Arsenal, up the Arsenal.